Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're unpacking a fascinating dynamic that sits at the very heart of business survival. It's that core, everyday tension between order and flexibility. How exactly does an organization stay laser-focused on its long-term goals without, completely snapping in half when the wind suddenly changes direction? It's a massive puzzle that leaders wrestle with every single day. And the source material we're looking at today breaks this down beautifully by exploring the absolute critical balance between alignment and adaptability.
Okay, let's dive into this. Here's our roadmap for today. We're going to start with the chaos problem, explore the power and the 3 levels of alignment, and then look at the absolute need for adaptability. After that, we'll see this theory in action within real-world supply chains before finally figuring out how to strike the perfect balance.
Section 1. The chaos problem. What happens when we lose focus?
I want to ask you this critical question directly, right off the bat. What actually happens when employees move in different directions? Just imagine a scenario where every single team in a company is working incredibly hard, but they're all chasing completely different objectives. The source material highlights that if employees go in different directions, it inevitably leads to a highly chaotic situation. And honestly, it isn't just about confusion or frustration. This lack of direction ultimately results in a massive, catastrophic wastage of resources. Time, money, and talent are completely burned away, simply because the organization couldn't find its true north.
Moving on to Section 2, the power of alignment, moving in the same direction.
So, the antidote to all that chaos, it's strategic alignment. This is the process of ensuring that the actions and decisions of all organization members are completely in sync with the overall goals. Essentially, strategies act as the crucial guidelines here. They give a unified direction to every single member of the firm, because for an organization to actually function effectively, everyone, from the summer interns all the way up to the executive board, literally must work together toward a common destination.
There's this brilliant insight from Dennis Miller, quoted right in our source text, that really brings this home. He points out that all those involved with the organization, whether directly or indirectly, need to contribute in sync to attain that common goal. But here's the really vital takeaway. Achieving this means the strategy of the business must be completely in line with the culture and the structure of the organization. You simply cannot force a rigid strategy onto a decentralized culture. It doesn't work. They absolutely must match.
Section 3, 3 levels of alignment: vertical, horizontal, and operational. Now consider how alignment actually flows. It's kind of like a waterfall. Vertically, every strategy must tie directly to the very top, the mission, the vision, and the values of the organization. But a vision isn't enough on its own. Horizontally, we have to guarantee that strategies across different departments don't end up competing with each other, right? A strategy in marketing shouldn't sabotage a strategy in engineering. They have to work in pure collaboration. And then operationally, well, that's where the rubber meets the road. Resources are always scarce. Operational alignment ensures the effective working of strategies so that you attain maximum utilization of those limited resources.
Let's zoom in a little closer on that operational level for a second. Operational alignment is the exact point where the planning team actually assigns tasks to employees, and they do it by answering 4 very specific questions. Who will perform the task? How? When? And with what resources? If there's any ambiguity in these 4 steps, the alignment breaks down right there at the front lines.
Section 4, the need for adaptability, navigating an uncertain world.
And this brilliantly illustrates the stark contrast we're dealing with. On one hand, alignment stays the course and keeps you steady. On the other hand, adaptability navigates change. The source material is very clear about this. While alignment keeps you efficient today, if an organization wants to survive in the long run, it absolutely must cope with changes and adjust to shifting scenarios. Basically, you need both to stay alive.
So let's define it. Strategic adaptability describes how an organization adjusts itself, improvises its operations, and copes with an uncertain, changing environment. Adaptability strategies measure just how quickly a firm can pivot when the unexpected happens, and our source notes something really fascinating about the human element here. An organization will flourish if its members feel satisfied and accept changes with ease. Conversely, the entire enterprise may completely collapse if it rigidly resists those changes.
So why is this so absolutely crucial? Well, first, it provides a massive competitive advantage. Firms that can adapt simply manage to keep an edge over those that cannot. Second, and this is huge, implementing a quick response to sudden change requires immensely strong leadership. It literally forces managers to step up.
Third, it inherently strengthens the organization's overall problem-solving capabilities. And finally, it improves business relationships because you become a much more flexible and reliable partner in turbulent times.
Section 5. Real-world supply chains. Taking this theory into practice.
So, the crucial point is how these two forces interact out there in a massive, complex supply chain. First, we have chain alignment. This exists when the interests of all the organizations are perfectly in line. You have equitable risk sharing, cost sharing, completely free exchange of information, and clear roles. It's a well-oiled machine. But contrast that with the reality of chain adaptability. In the real world, multiple parties almost always have differential interests. Adaptability here is the chain's ability to foresee changes in the market and flexibly reconfigure itself. You align the chain to make it efficient, for sure, but you build in adaptability so the whole thing doesn't just snap when a global crisis hits.
And finally, Section 6. Striking the perfect balance. The formula for survival.
Here it is, the final equation derived directly from our source material. Adaptability plus alignment along with agility equals the ability to survive and flourish. This right here is a state of strategic equilibrium. You can't just pick one. If you only have alignment, it's like you're a perfectly organized ship sailing straight into a storm you refuse to steer around. But if you only have adaptability, you're a ship constantly changing direction but never actually reaching a destination. These forces combined are the absolute ultimate aim for conquering any competitive market environment.
Which brings us to one final, provocative question for you to think about. Is your organization built just to stay the course, or is it genuinely ready to navigate the change? Take a moment to assess the strategic equilibrium in your own professional life. Thank you so much for joining me as we unpacked these critical concepts today, and I hope this leaves you looking at your organization's strategy in a whole new light. Catch you next time.